Welcome back to Jealous Podcast. Melanie, who are you feeling jealous of this week?
I am jealous of Jill Andersen. She's the should lady.
Yeah, wait, your shoulds.
The should lady.
Yeah.
Effing your shoulds.
Effing your shoulds.
Effing your shoulds. We don't know what that F word means, but it's effing your shoulds.
She was a ton of fun. This is a really, I don't know, it was just really impactful. We all need someone like that in our corner. You'll hear about it in a little bit. You're probably like, what are you talking about? But she's like the cheerleader that everybody needs.
Absolutely. And someone that can show up and be authentically them in every space.
Yeah.
Is one of the big reasons I'm jealous of her.
You're authentically yourself, though.
But I think it's because people like her have given me permission to do so.
Yeah, that's a good point. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like we've all had we've had maybe a Jill, or someone like Jill in every place we've been or worked, and that's why we maybe are so confident now. What do you think about that?
I think that's probably a cheerleader like her in our corner.
Yeah, and I'd say you're one of those people too.
Well, if I can be something to somebody that Jill is to people, I will take that 100%. So.
Yeah.
Jill Andersen.
Enjoy the episode. As always, rate, review, follow us, and check us out on the socials. So, yeah, enjoy another great episode. Thank you, Melanie.
Thanks.
Bye. We are officially podcasting, and I think my job's going to be really easy today because we have Jill Andersen here. And, I mean, when there's speaker in your title, my job's pretty easy, right?
Just lean back.
And Melanie, it was her. She hasn't been on here for a while, so she wanted to ease into it.
Yeah, enough.
So
not to talk too much.
That's why you're here.
Well, great. Glad I can help.
That's not why you're here.
I really will sit back. No, I'm just kidding. No,
Enjoy the ride.
Melanie, why Jill? Why
Jill.
are you so jealous of Jill?
Jill is awesome. So I probably interacted with Jill for the first time maybe a year-ish ago, and I saw her speak, and I think I sat there literally like this. You probably remember me looking at you because I was in the front row, and I'm just like, huh. I've never resonated with someone so quickly before. And we're a marketing agency, right? So you've really personally branded yourself very, very interestingly and unique in the last year. And I've loved that. And we'll talk more about that later. So I love that you've taken on this. You kind of had a shift in life, and you tell your personal story, and you're authentic and genuine. And so I was like, what better person to bring on a Jealous podcast as Jill Andersen. So,
and she likes my hair.
I do.
I do too.
And
I
your
love your hair.
accessories.
I'm jealous of your hair.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm leading into the microphone, and I feel like Molly Shannon on this.
Do you want to talk about sweaty balls?
Sweaty balls.
Sweaty balls. And
Christmas
excessive
is
rat
coming.
Yes. Apartment.
That's not the first podcast that we've mentioned sweaty balls.
There's a theme.
Jealous.
So, give a girl a mic. That's what happens.
Jill, you have just an interesting story and how you've got to be your speaker, coach, everything you are today, and you've done a variety of things. So take us back to how you got here. Why are you sitting here with me right now?
Wow. Well,
wow.
That's a long story.
We've got time.
It started just shy of 42 years ago.
That's when your birthday's
beautiful.
My birthday's next week.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So, I was born in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Nice.
Raised in a tiny town not far from there called Springville.
Nice.
And I'm the second of four daughters. So I have a very high achieving, very successful older sister. She has 5 kids. We're like, well, let's have one more, and then they got twins.
We were just talking about that today.
Yeah, which is funny because between her and my next younger sister, they're kind of living the lives that like I thought I would be living, and so, but yeah, I was a recovering rule follower. I still find myself slipping into that a little bit sometimes. It's just like, old patterns. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I kind of did everything right. I was a really great kid. I mean, seriously, that would have been kind of one of the reasons why I maybe should have, which is my favorite word, should have had kids, is because I could have been like, you can't do anything because
when I was
the
kid,
perfect kid. Like, I never did anything wrong.
Really?
So, yeah, because disappointing my parents was like my biggest fear, which makes a lot of sense when you look at the life choices that I made going forward.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, I mean, did everything right. I also had really bad anxiety as a kid, but in the 80s, nobody really knew what that was.
No, I saw something today, and it was like, do you have an anxiety as a kid? And the person was like, did you see it? They're like, no, I didn't. I followed all the rules and because I didn't want to get in trouble and I didn't take risks because I didn't want to die. And they were like, no, that's anxiety. Oh,
yes. I've also seen the meme lately of like why we all have an anxiety problem because of the game Perfection, where you have 90 seconds to get everything right or it blows up in your face.
Or freaking math time test.
Yes.
Like what the hell was that?
I don't know, but I hate math.
Me too.
I just flash back to 3rd grade.
I know, like sweaty hands, your number 2 pencil just like.
And of course, I had to win, so I was
Yeah.
pissed off if I was second. You know,
Yeah.
I'm sure I didn't win. It's math, but
Oh,
sorry.
that's a podcast for another
Melanie
time.
won math. No, Melanie tried to win math.
Yeah. Well, losing's hard. Losing's hard. But yeah, so I went after high school. I went to a really long way from home, Ames.
Nice.
2 hours away, but it was a long way for me.
Still, and like you're in a different part of the state. Like you're
Totally. I mean,
Cyclone
like it was
country.
brave that I left Hawkeye country
Yes.
to go be a second. Because seriously, in 1998, it was not cool to be an Iowa State person. It was not at all. Like, so I mean, that was groundbreaking alone.
We're proud of you.
Thank you. And then I went, I decided that food was the only thing I liked enough to major in. So I majored in food science and had a bunch of cool jobs. Like I came home in the summer and worked at the Cheerios plant in Cedar Rapids at General Mills. And my first, I worked at the Pillsbury Bake Off also.
Oh,
Did
wow.
recipe testing for that in Minneapolis. It was really fun.
Fun.
You got to eat all the recipes?
Yeah.
Sign
You don't
me
get this
up.
kind of
That's a
body by
thing.
not tasting things.
You gonna eat all the recipes?
Yes. Yes. After that, I went and worked for Kraft in the test kitchen, and the days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know.
The dream.
Hold that thought.
Okay.
The best days were when the food service guys in the kitchen, the craft kitchens, it
services.
would be doing development for Dairy Queen. So they would have the soft serve machine in the kitchen, and we had Oreos were one of our brands. So like we would just go kitchen scrounging and like opening fridges, and it was insanity.
I'd be
Sounds like my.
effed because I don't have any self-control. None.
neither.
0.
Oh man, it's rough. It's hard.
It's rough.
Yeah. So I've been in the food business for a really long time. It's fun and it's creative and I enjoy it, but I realized that wasn't really the thing. Like I even got foodie on my license plates, and then people were like, "So were you watching the show on the Food Network?" I'm like, no. What's your favorite magazine? I don't know.
I just eat Oreos
Kind
in the
of.
test kitchen.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the testament of you can be good at a lot of things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the thing that you're really called to do.
Yeah.
And so while I'm good at it, I still dip my toe in it from time to time because I still really enjoy it. I enjoy the people. It's a creative environment.
Cool.
It's really fun. I freelance at Dash Meredith still a little bit just because it's fun and I love
Yeah.
it. And the people are great.
Cool.
But I started kind of having these nudges and all over the place. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of fast forwarded a little bit with career. I got married when I was 30. I thought, wow, well, that took a while. And then got divorced about 18 months later. I was like, well, that didn't quite pan out like how I expected or how I thought it should have, right?
Yeah.
So this is where kind of the shoulding, which is my favorite word, kind of started to really present itself and just started the awareness around how I had gotten where I was and kind of why and how, right? So I realized that, I had just been following the grocery list of what to do in life. And it wasn't bad and it worked for a lot of people, but it was just a little scary to realize that wasn't really for me. And that meant top to bottom, front to back. There were so many things where I was like, holy crap, I'm like overhauling everything.
Oh my gosh.
Because once you find the courage, get the guts, do the hard thing, you can't unsee that and you can't unknow it. So, and then you're kind of like, oh, well, okay, I just did that hard thing. And then it's just like unlock. It's like a video game, even though I'm not a gamer. Like you unlock the next level of thing.
Yeah.
Right. So Catholic wedding. 18 months later, I'm like, do I send the gifts back? I don't know. Like, I feel like y'all just got your thank yous 6 months ago. Sorry, that took a while. But it was kind of an earth-shattering thing. Like we were pregnant twice, miscarried twice, and I just was like, okay. an interesting part of all of that. I don't know. It was just a lot of weird things kind of falling in the path. And so after that, I just, figured it out, and it was scary. And guess what? The world didn't end. The sky didn't fall. Nobody murdered me over it. There was so much of that is the stories that we make up in our heads about what we think people are going to say or do.
Yes.
And it's sad because sometimes we don't give these people a chance to step up and go to bat for us, Like I was terrified my parents were going to freak out. I'm sure they didn't love it, but they were also loved me and concerned about me. And most any parent just wants their kid to be happy. And so, but I had to give them that opportunity to step in and help. And they were more than happy to, right? So, there's lots of tidbits of wisdom throughout that whole experience.
Which has kind of brought you to who you are now, which is the should
lady. Yeah. Self-proclaimed.
And your basic premise is we need to stop shoulding ourselves.
Yes. It sounds like shit if you say it really fast.
Don't should your pants.
Which is my favorite part.
I also really enjoy that.
It needs to be fun. Like life gets to be fun.
Yes.
And we forget that too. Like we were talking beforehand, my husband now sometimes like, didn't you have any fun as a kid? Were you a child? I'm like, no, I was too scared. So that's not something that is easy for me to do. I have to remind myself that this is supposed to be fun. This should be fun. And so there are good shoulds too. Yeah. But it again, once that awareness was created as to how I got where I was, then I started thinking, okay, how did I get here? And a lot of that was because I asked everybody else what they thought of what I should do. I mean, I polled everybody. Before, but I never asked myself what I really wanted. I didn't really know how to figure that out without asking everybody else. So once I kind of started to pay attention to who did I go for what and why, and then starting to build that self-trust of how it made me feel, when I was starting to make some choices, and like a big one like divorce, it's like, man, there was something really not right inside of me that I trusted that was like, okay, that's the decision. And so then it got a little bit easier because I was a little more in tune with what that felt like.
Yeah, but I mean, how huge of you to make that decision 18 months later. I mean, holy shit.
Yeah.
Really, though. I mean,
know.
A lot
it
of
still
people
kind of scares me a little.
might still be in that situation.
But you know what? 18 months or 18 years, they're both equally difficult.
Oh,
because an
absolutely.
investment, is different. So, I mean, there's a hard part of any and all of it. And I think that the important thing to know is that it's never too late to start over.
I love that.
It's not. And career-wise too, like I had built everything, I'd done everything right. Every career move was very strategic as to making sure I was building and growing and climbing the ladder and doing the things until I just was like, I felt like jail, kind of, which was, for me.
Yeah.
Some people really enjoy that, and that's wonderful. Like, we need all kinds to make the world go round. But I realized that I was kind of trying to spread my wings inside like a really sealed tight egg. And I just was like, no, I need to get out of here.
That's so funny you say that. I think we're drawing similar people to the podcast for like 4 weeks in a row because a couple weeks ago we interviewed, his name's Robert Deitsch, and he is a songwriter down in Nashville, but he was working this corporate job, and he would be sitting in these meetings with the CEOs and the vice presidents, and they'd be making decisions, and he was over there like, oh, I wonder if that lyric would go with that, you know? And then he was like, I can't do it. And he went home and he told his wife, and then he went and wrote songs in Nashville. Yeah. He was in his 40s, I think.
Yeah.
I'm probably misspeaking on that. But yeah, I mean, he had wife, kids, and yeah, another one writing plays at 50. Like, just so cool. I love it. I love it. And I love every time someone comes on here and reinforces that, because I must have a midlife crisis coming up, because every time someone says, I'm like, yeah.
Well, but in a place like this where you have a lot of creative latitude, like, it's a fun place to be. So I think some of that too is, it was hard for me to let go of this identity of like having such a cool job. Like,
sure,
who doesn't love, I mean, like, I could talk for hours to everybody about cooking food and eating for a living. Like, that's a sweet job, especially when it's 8 to 5 on Monday through Friday. Like, restaurant people that do the same thing, but man, they're stuck with some crummy hours. And so, so a lot of it was releasing the identity of what I had created, which was also hard.
Difficult.
So it's like this complete reinvention of, And I still told people that I was in the food business for a lot longer after I started speaking and coaching because it was way more fun to talk about, I thought.
And it might just be easier to say
It
other
is.
than trying to explain like, well, I'm a coach and I'm a speaker. And then a lot of the questions come and then you're like, I just want to answer the question and maybe move on.
Well, and there was a lot of confidence growth that needed to happen
Sure.
before I got comfortable with it. So,
Sure.
But yeah, so much of this stuff that happens is what we, really think we should be doing.
What does being the should lady mean? I mean, what? But what does that all? What does that all entail? I mean, who are you telling this message to, and what are those premises that you're basing now what you're doing on?
Anyone who will listen.
I love it
Because it affects everybody.
Yeah.
I think it resonates most with people who are feeling that rub in their worlds of like, something doesn't feel right, or I'm feeling a nudge to do one thing that feels kind of scary. So I think it applies to everybody in some way, shape, or form, because we're surrounded by, raised by people who want the best for us, or are, we're just in life with them. And so, I would say that that's the power of coaching also, because when you're in any type of either intimate relationship, committed, whatever, your family, whatever decisions you make, no question will affect them somehow. And even though they're being very supportive, want the best for you, like sometimes that can be challenging and a little scary for them, because change is scary for most people.
Yeah.
And so, as I coach people, that's kind of, it's amazing how much growth happens just in a safe space of being able to say, I don't give a rip what you say. I don't give a shit what you do. Mm-hmm. As long as it comes down to a place where it's aligned with your values and it kind of aligns with where you really intuitively feel you really want to go. Mm-hmm. And I think, because sometimes it's scared to say those things out loud, period, let alone, and we don't quite recognize sometimes that the fear of being judged is like the first and foremost thing. As we're saying these things out loud, it's like, how's it going to be received? Or how many times well, it might sound weird, but, how many times do we say that? We're like, it's kind of crazy, but what do you think about that? And so we're always qualifying.
Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that. Does that make sense? I'm like, I know what I just said made sense. Why am I trying to like backstep to make sure everyone else is comfortable when I know what I'm saying makes sense because I said it.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
right? Do you know what I mean?
100%
When I say that, well, now I'm doing it again. But I'm doing it again.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, that's so cool. So essentially, are you kind of taking the advice that you wish you had been given when you made the leap? And like,
yeah, I think I'm a very feely, empathetic person.
Yeah.
So I think for me, I just want to make a world of pillows for people to like just come and sit down and chill and like, you have a safe, comfy cloud. Like come sit by me.
I like
and
that.
just like, I mean, because we're a very fast paced, I think, I mean, God bless America, but sometimes like our capitalistic like structure makes us go hard, do all the things, and that doesn't leave a lot of room for us to slow down and to let these things bubble up. And so I think, that's what I hope to create. I think we're getting better about talking about that stuff now than when I was younger. But yeah, I think the more I can shout from the rooftops and make people think, if every person thought about every time they heard the word should, that's like my dream for the world. In whatever language that is for you. I don't know, a million languages. But it makes, if you start paying attention to every time you hear it, every time you say it, and what's the intention behind it, it is very powerful to think about, like, what's the motivation behind it, and how is that affecting my decision making?
yeah.
And realizing that you have a choice in everything.
Like
Yeah.
I should be going to work out after this.
But do you choose to?
Yeah, I will be. But that's not a negative thing.
No.
Versus I should.
Well, I just like how it relates to the podcast. So jealous, and really the premise, just really quick, because everyone listening is like, I've heard you say this a million times, but not everyone has. So when we say we're jealous of someone, it's because usually we see something in them that we feel we should be doing, or we should, I should be doing that. That should be me, not them. Well, why? Yeah. And really, our whole purpose is to bring it back and to unpeel the onion and be motivated rather than feel like jaded toward that person, but I really like that parallel just because I think that's when I'm feeling jealous of someone, it is because of the shoulds. It's because of, well, I should be doing that. What?
I should have that house. I should have that car.
I should. Or I should have done that. And now I'm not even mad at them or pissed at them. I'm mad at myself because I should be doing that. And I'm not.
And it's like, should you, or is that what the world is making you believe?
Exactly.
Right? Like, I'm not a tiny bodied lady. And so forever, like, those are all the messages of, like, there's this constant, you know, dialogue in my mind of, maybe not dialogue, is that two people? Monologue, whatever. I don't know. But
I have multiple voices up there. So
sure
there's definitely dialogue.
I do too. My judge saboteur, her name's Judy.
Ooh,
Judge Judy.
Judge Judy.
I named her. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, honestly, like the messaging and the, you know, all of that stuff that we're constantly processing all the time, we don't even realize that we're doing it. And so if if you stop yourself in that moment, be like, do I really want that? Or is that just because I'm programmed that that's what success looks like, or that's what happiness looks like, or, you know, right? Like, have you, and some of us, we don't even have the experience. We haven't given ourselves the space, the latitude, the opportunity to get out into the world and see what's different, to even know what we like. That was kind of me. I don't have any hobbies. I didn't. Like, we grew up in a town where, I mean, we didn't have a ton of money growing up. We were in our small town, like, we did all of our little kid sports and all that kind of stuff, but, like, we weren't much explorer adventurers. And so, right, wrong, or indifferent, that was just my experience. Whereas, like, my now husband, who is off the plane Dutch, like, grew up.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, a happy tulip time almost.
I know. Yeah. But he experienced childhood in a very different way. Partly because he's like Curious George and just, he just goes and explores everything, and that's not my nature. And so once he started leading me through the world in a different way, I was like, well, hot damn, like there's a lot of things out here that are really fun.
I could do that. Yeah.
I mean, after I freak out on a kayak, and then like once I get comfortable, then it's fun. But like for a while, it's panic attack inducing. But after that, but you have to, that's the hardest part, though, is the action of taking a step into something different. Everybody hates that.
Yeah, it's
uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable.
It is, but like, what's the reward? There's a lot of reward on the other side.
Speaking of kayaks, I'm remembering a story on a boat that you told one time, and did you propose to him?
Oh, I did. Yes, I did.
Talk about what? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Spill it.
Okay. So my... in my phone, he's hot husband, because, I mean, he is. I might have stolen that from Celeste Barber, but whatever. She's in Australia. She doesn't care. Yeah, we were on vacation in Canada, and I had, because I talk to everybody everywhere. It drives most people crazy. We had gone to the Chamber of Commerce to find out, like, where do we camp? Because he has balanced out the planner in me. He's like, well, let's just find a place when we get there. I'm like, So we go to the local Chamber of Commerce in Red Lake, Ontario, Canada, which is way up in the middle of nowhere. And the gal at the desks was like, hey, go out to this place. It's where we go. It's wonderful. So we did. Kind of made friends with her throughout the week. She said that, like, she had proposed to her husband. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But I, like, didn't think twice about it. Seriously. That was just like, well, that was nice. Never thought of it again.
Neat.
We were, yes, neat. So the last day we were there, it was stunningly beautiful. Woke up, like, still in my pajamas, no bra, like, whatever hat was there, whatever coat, whatever, like, we're out on this boat. And I was like, oh, this is so nice. I was like, it would be really nice if he proposed to me out in such a beautiful place. Like, this is what's going on in my head. And then I'm like, oh, and it'd be real. This is 2019. It'd be really great to get married in 2020. I mean, I was born in 1980, so every year I know how old I'm going to be. It makes the math really easy. This is my brain. Okay?
Solid year for a wedding.
Yeah. So I'm just sitting there, I'm like, hold on. Like, I mean, guys don't have to do that. Like, why is it always the guy who has to propose? Like, I mean, I can do that. I can do this, right? And then I start going,
oh, shit. The panic sets in.
Oh, my God. He's like, why are you breathing hard? I'm like, no reason, I'm fine. Like, oh, I just need to adjust my life jacket. It's a little too tight. Freaking out.
Oh my gosh.
So we get back to shore, and we're literally leaving that day. Like, we're getting ready to pack up. I was going to go take a shower in the little shower cabin because we were in a tent and everything. And I look at him, I'm like, stop. And he's like, what? Ugh. And I'm like, hey, like, will you marry me? And he's like, huh? I was like, will you marry me? And he's like, well, I should ask you, right? And I was like, well, no, I didn't want you to think that there was some crazy expectation of like how a proposal should be and all that other stuff. And I was like, well, I just thought I'd take the pressure off. And he's like, well, I think I should ask you. I'm like, okay. So I went to the little shower cabin, took a shower, whatever, like got packed up. And I'm walking out and he like beelines it over to me and he looks at me and goes, yes, if you're still asking, the answer is yes. I'm like, oh, are you serious? Like, so we're doing it? He's like, yeah. I was like, awesome. And that was it. And then we drove 20 hours home.
Holy shit. That's amazing.
And then I was like, hey, will you buy me this ring? Like, I was so like, a little while later, we went out and found a ring and like, it was great.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So
but it's
cool.
kind of like, it's okay if you want to do traditional, but you don't have to, right?
No.
Like, it's kind of this, like, just, try on something weird sometimes.
That is
It might
great.
fit.
That was like a expedited sales cycle of like the nudge feeling that you say that you feel. I mean, shit, you did it in the same day or the same week.
Kinda. Yeah. I was kind of like, whoa.
And then you're having a panic attack. Like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Like the nudge is present with us
Yes,
now.
yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then we got married in our yard in February.
Oh, good.
In 2020 before everything went crazy.
Oh, before.
And it was fine. We could have gotten married all the way during the pandemic. We only had a photographer and a couple people. Like, it was great. We just like got married in the yard and went and ate fried chicken afterwards. And
Oh my God, that sounds
it was
lovely.
kind
That's
of
so
like,
lovely.
it was great. We just did it our own way. And, I think that's hard too, because you want people to feel included and you want people who want to be there, but it's also like kind of staying sacred to who you are and what you want. And for us, that was just, it wasn't about excluding anyone. It was just kind of protecting the, the sacred quiet that we wanted for ourselves. And so, a whole other, there's a should lesson in just about everything.
And then
I love that.
shortly after that, did you decide to be a speaker, or what was that timeline?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
was that prior to that?
Yeah, so I was already kind of working on that at the time. So when I left corporate to do freelance food full time, I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna shotgun approach. We're gonna cater. We're gonna blog. We're gonna do classes. We're gonna do all the things. And I realized I was not gravitating toward any one thing really. And so I hired a career coach to be like, okay, she's gonna help me figure out which one of these is my thing. And then after 6 months, I was like, oh, I don't want to do that anymore.
Really?
But I needed permission. She literally told me one day, you need somebody to tell you that you have permission that you don't have to do food anymore. And I'm like, really? But when you think about it, all the money and time I'd invested, I'd gotten an MBA in that time, which obviously is serving me well right now. But yeah, you think of, okay, well, that's deviating from this well-paved path that I had, constructed for myself. So that was a big, aha moment. So again, divorce, and then you start breaking down these big things. And then, yeah, I kind of fell into speaking, which is so funny because of my high school speech teacher, Ms. Weber, is I have told her so many times, oh my gosh, watch me. Look, I'm speaking. I left speech class crying when I was a senior in high school. It was horrible.
I hated speech class as a kid. And now, if I'm out somewhere and someone talks over me, I'm like, what the fuck did you just say?
Yeah. Isn't that funny though? But a lot of that,
Terrible.
how much of it though is because we thought we should hate it?
Yeah. I would get physically ill
Yeah.
in speech class.
Nervous.
Anxiety of speaking in front of
Yeah.
people.
So
Well,
everything.
but they're the hardest crowd as people
Yeah, and
by
your,
far.
and your terrible high school peers.
Yeah, and then in college too, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
luck.
But I had an opportunity to do a speaking thing for just a fun group here in town, and we did it at the hall and over in Valley
cool.
Junction,
Yeah.
which I'm like, oh, nice. We're going to be in this front little area. Nobody's going to know we're here. No, they put the slides up in everything but the beer menu. Every screen in there had our stuff. And I was like, holy shit. I was kind of okay, well, I can do this, right? I don't have to. I can leave. But I did. And people were fangirling afterwards. And I was like, what is this? It was crazy. But I immediately was met with that was the most electrifying experience of my adult life.
Oh my gosh.
Immediately followed by, I shouldn't like to do this so much. Like, I shouldn't like this. Only attention seeking, like, you know, people who need attention like to be up in front of people doing this kind of stuff.
Interesting.
Oh my gosh, that is interesting.
So immediately followed by a should. And then I thought, but that,
Wait, you felt that?
uh-huh.
Oh.
Yeah, like that was what was going on in my head afterwards of like,
Oh my gosh.
that was insanely amazing. But because it felt like it was being the center of attention, right? Like that's a place where I wasn't used to being. And so, but when your gifts and your talents are all being kind of, they're all syncing up and you're like in this magical sweet spot of them all coming.
Like a culmination, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, whoa, this, like I didn't even have to try that hard. Like something felt really easy about it. And so I thought, well, why are we making things so hard? Like I think we're taught that work needs to be hard. Everything has to be hard, you know, work to the bone, like all those sorts of things. But it was like, but if you have an experience where you can start leaning into what your talents and skills are and things feel easy, it was like, well, holy smokes. Because once I thought, okay, I don't need to do food anymore, well, then what is that? And so you start looking back at, well, I've kind of been coaching people forever. I didn't quite realize it, but you start looking at how people receive you, how they show up for you. Do people, you know, always have a same nickname? Like people always called me Sunshine. Like many jobs I've ever had, like different people.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's really weird. Yeah. Like, why do the same people, you know, but it's kind of those data points of observations of how people receive you in the world. And so it just kind of breadcrumbing led me down the coaching route, and then the speaking serendipity happened, and then luckily they meld beautifully together.
Sure.
But yeah, I just feel like,
And now you're here.
Yeah, and you're
the Dallas
jealous.
Podcast. I am. When people talk about me across all levels, it's like, oh, well, there's Melanie just being Melanie. Like, that's what I get.
No.
I love it. Lori just said it to me. Some of my coaching friends, oh, there's Melanie just being Melanie. I love it.
But it is
fine.
like
What is just
it's
being
like
Melanie,
I don't
though? What's
know.
your secret sauce?
Right. It is like her energy and her friendliness and her comfort. Like you're
Like,
instantly
there's no adjective to it.
it's just like familiar in such a good way. And you lift people up everywhere you go, Melanie. You do. And you're just like I fell in love with Melanie during the interview process. We were like matching. I was trying to match her because her energy's so high, and we were screaming at each other.
We were screaming.
like psychopaths.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah. I'd say something, she'd be like, yes. And she'd say something, I'd be like, yes. And
This
insane.
This is like what happens when you're drunk waiting in line for the
Yeah.
bathroom.
Yes. It was very drunk girl waiting in the bathroom energy, waiting for the
Best friends.
Yes.
Yeah. But when you start to break that down, you start to recognize what your essence is and what draws people to you and like what your unique essence is.
Yeah.
Right? And then those are the things
Like
we
the
need to
repeatable-
start like
yes.
tuning into is like what makes me so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And
do
being
that.
okay with saying that out loud. I think that's the other thing. I felt shame that there was something weird about being up in front of people and speaking and like letting people enjoy what I had to say. Like that felt weird, but I thought, you know what? I was born with this. I didn't pick it. So I get to do something with it, right?
Did you, when you were a kid and following all the rules, was this side of yourself like out there, or did you kind of hide this side of yourself?
Mute.
Yeah.
Mute button.
Isn't that so interesting?
So, okay, this is a fantastic example. So when I was in the 3rd grade, every day I wore a white satin bow on a headband every single day.
Aw.
Every single day.
So
Did you
cute.
alternate the headbands?
Only for broke. Because, I mean, for a while it matched. It was white on white. So it was just like every day I wore this
so
white
cute.
thing. Well, today I'm not wearing my bandana, but lately I've just been like, I love wearing a little like Rosie the Riveter bandana in my hair. I love it. It's my thing. And I looked at the mirror, I'm like, oh my God, I've come full circle. Like, I opened I like hung up all the
my
bandanas in my like closet in my bathroom. Like, I have 20. I think I have a problem. But then I think it is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
obviously it's part of what my expressive personality is, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
but after that, you can see like where the mute button started to take over, or mostly the conformist type of thing, which happens to everybody.
Yeah.
Like when you start looking at your friends and what your friends are doing and what's cool and what's not cool, right? So yeah, that happens. But at one point it goes away, but it's like, man, I looked at that photo and I was like, oh, yep, that's who I was before the clouds
you
came.
knew who you were, before you.
That
okay.
yeah, that was who I was before I forgot.
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
But remembering is wicked fun.
It is, but why did I just get super emotional just
I
now?
did too. I was like, I almost started tearing
I
up.
know.
Well, because it is scary and a little sad. I mean,
I'm fine.
yeah, but you guys are both parents, and so it's the cool thing about what you get to do for your kids.
Yeah.
You know, you get to like recognize if that's happening and just like even have a little conversation about it. Like, or just, you don't even have to make it super formal, but it's like, hey, where's that thing you like so much? Or, you know, and if they grow out of it, they grow out of it. But I think it's, you know, being able to be attentive and nurturing of like what those little things are. And if you forget, go back to your photos and be like, man, did you come down on the first day of school with like a dress and a baseball cap and like like what was your thing? And then you kind of like, I mean,
Bring it back.
yeah. But truly, I mean, living in corporate for a really long time, I was like, oh, there's no way I'm ever like, I was never really a tattoo person. So I thought.
I was admiring. I was like, what's that?
Well, because when you're, I mean, like it used to be when you're in a corporate environment that like you really couldn't have any, or it was like, there was just this unspoken frowned upon situation with it.
Yeah.
And so then when I went down into the creative spots at Meredith, then I started seeing all these creative people who were just like tatted, pierced, awesome.
And so cool.
Super cool hair, like all these things. I thought, oh, I'm home.
Oh, what a good feeling.
I found but it unlocked this little bit of me that I didn't really know was in there because I didn't take art classes in high school because that would mess with my GPA. Right. So a lot of these things where I didn't even know these things about myself until some light switches started going up. But I had to put myself in those situations or in those environments in order for those lights to start turning on. So that, I mean, I think that's the overarching theme is to like, you have to be willing to do something you've never done in order to find out
If that's you or not, or if that's a piece
right
of you.
or what lights you up. Like, and if you, because a lot of it is finding out what you don't like, and it does take a while for some. Like I end up finding out the things I don't like before I like the things that I do, but that's the process.
Yeah. How do when you're coaching people and they are like, I don't know what I want to do. How do you guide them to go to a concert or to the wine taste? Like how do you get them to just even go do the thing?
I start with curiosity. And if you suck at being curious, like that's where you have to start. Because for me, it's like start following some people on Instagram. Or if there's people that you like and you're like, that looks interesting. Like look at who they follow. Is there like, you know, I started following people from inner space, like breath work and all stuff. I'm like, ooh, what is that world? Like, I'm really curious. So I started doing a few of those things. Like, I thought it was great. So you just start picking some rabbit holes, and you just like, oh, I've always wanted to learn how to golf. I've always wanted to learn how to play the piano, or you know, there's got to be something in you somewhere. Or think about a time you were doing something that you're like, that was a freaking blast. When's the last time I did that? Or, you know, you just have to start tuning in and. It takes a little bit of effort. I think that's the thing. And it's not overwhelmingly, but it does require a little bit of thought.
Yeah.
But you just start with with curiosity and trying some new stuff. And then, you know, you kind of start going down the road and, what do you love about it?
It's so easy, but it's so difficult. Like, I don't know, people get stuck in the monotonous, just like their routines and their ruts. What are you curious about? Like, what would you go?
I was just going to ask you the exact same thing. I was, because you are all over the place with podcasts and you are blogging and you're super creative. There's all kinds of things that you dabble in. Weird internet ads every day that you're served up.
Or like if you go to the bookstore, well, like where do you go?
Oh yeah.
Or the podcast is the same thing. Like what content are you consuming? And like another thing too is. We talk about values very first off when we coach, and it's like if you have a hard time figuring out what your values are, it's like what pisses you off.
Oh,
because whatever that is, your value is pretty much the opposite.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's just kindness and being courteous to people. So road
that
rage,
pisses you off?
Sorry, y'all, piss me off. It's like chill the fuck out, man. Like you're not going to get anywhere faster, and you're just going to like wreak havoc the whole way. Like not worth the energy.
No.
And just be kind to people.
Yeah.
The world better, but yeah, it is a lot of just tuning. So like you just put your radar antennas up and you just start paying attention. And I know for me, whenever I was in a relationship with somebody, oh man, was I a chameleon, man. Like anything that the dude liked, I was all on board with. Well, before.
Before.
That was like old. like
Old
1.0.
Jill.
Oh my
1.0.
gosh. Did you pick up on anything that you still like though? During that time?
I don't know. That's a great question. I've never considered that.
Oh, stumps Jill.
Oh, nice. I get a point.
I'm going
for
to
that.
noodle on that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to take a while. There were a lot. I'm just kidding.
No shame.
I'm trying to think of what I'd want to do if I wasn't already doing it. I'd want to golf more, but I've done that before. But I would want to golf more. I don't know.
I mean, do you like want to skydive? Is there something
Oh,
like
God, that sounds
bucket list
terrifying.
related?
Yeah, no, I can't do that.
I want to meet Johnny Depp. Can we make that happen?
Well, he's in one place all week.
I was
this
going to
week.
say in a courtroom, right?
With that trial going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But are you curious about, would you take like a wine and painting class? Or, I don't know, like, I started sewing once because I was like, why not?
Oh.
So,
Like crocheting or something or knitting.
I don't know.
That's cool. This morning I emailed Shelby and Aaron, and I was like, I want to get like a dream interpreter or an aura reader on the podcast because I do geek out over that stuff.
Right.
But you're not supposed to, right? Because you're
That's-
supposed to be
you
a
should.
business woman and you're supposed to be black and white.
Woman.
And yeah, I was like, that'd be so much fun to geek out over that
Right,
for a while.
For sure.
Great note there of like something you might be a little afraid to speak out loud to somebody because you're afraid of like, this feels a little weird. Follow that too. Because you're thinking, it's a little weird. Like they might think I'm a weirdo because I like these like oracle cards or the crystals and it's like,
Who cares?
I know.
who cares? But like it takes a little bit of repeat to get over that,
True.
to the desensitization of people's opinions because we're just so used to giving a shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop shitting yourselves.
Yeah. Well, we get buried under it and then we can't move. And then it's really hard to get. So you have to start clawing your way out of it. And so whatever way, shape, or form that takes. But it takes some effort. But man, it's worth getting to the other side of the shit pile.
You're here to
To proclaim that.
Yeah, like-
as true form. Yeah.
Tattooed, partially shaved head.
I love your hair. I'm obsessed with it.
Thank you. Jess Randall is my hairstylist. She's amazing.
Is your hair curly or does she just
It's a little wavy and then I just flat iron it to get it to do the thing. But yeah. All sorts of things.
yeah.
Any other like goodies?
Oh my gosh, I could talk to you. We could talk to you for hours and hours and hours, I guarantee.
Yeah. Oh, did you want to talk to the branding thing? All the business stuff, or are we keeping this under
No,
a timeline?
Well, yeah, we're about at time, but I mean, just your self branding. I mean,
We love personal brand around here.
Exactly.
So talk about why it's important and how you got to where you are with it.
Well, it started with the domain name, heyjill.com, because my last name is a booger to spell. It's Andersen, so it's simple, but it's S-E-N. So my last name is really Andersen with an S-E-N. So I just thought, how could this be easy? And I saw that, and it was like Jill at heyjill.com. And so that's my email address, by the way. But it started with just making something simple, and then really the same process as everything else is like, what feels the most like me? And so then it was, what color? For me, that's red. What is, speaking the way that I speak. So like the things that I write, the copyright on there is all out of my mouth.
Well, now, because I visited before, obviously, I sat down and had this conversation.
Yeah.
Yes, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
And I think, but that's the testament of authenticity and how well that works for you. Like, I think it's a long road to like just realizing that like there's no fast, you can have other people do your stuff for you, and there's a place for that always. But I think that, and if you're not a great writer, great, have someone help you. But at the core of it is just like knowing who you are, what you want to share, and how you want to share it. And then like if you need support in getting those things put together that sound like you, then great. But I think it all comes from within. Like you have to know yourself best. And I think the piece of it too is, of course, we're all in business. We all need clients and all of those sorts of things. But I really tried to stay true to what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it. And if there were people who didn't like how I wanted to say it, then they weren't my people.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So that you go to my website, it says F your shoulds. And some people are like, oh, she means fuck.
Yeah.
And that's funny, Barb, but it could also mean like all the other F's in your shoulds, which is you got to find them, you got to feel them, you got to figure them out. You got to, you got to free yourself of them before you can move forward. And so like that's the funny part. But I mean, it is like I literally remember writing a note to my friends like, okay, so this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. Like, don't hate me. Don't be disappointed. But because it's a little edgy. And that feels weird for me, but it's like, guess what? We get to do it the way we want to do it.
I love it so much.
I do too.
And your LinkedIn says like Jill Andersen.
The should lady.
Yeah.
I just put that there because I thought it was funny. I know Jill Andersen, the should lady is
your LinkedIn name.
Because I had MBA for a while, and I'm like, meh. Like for me, and like
the should
it's
lady.
cool, but like the should lady, like that's who I am. Like the church lady from SNL, full circle,
Full
circle.
And here we are.
Yes.
Oh gosh, this is amazing. This
What a
has been
treat! Thanks
so
for
much
having
fun.
me. This is
was
so
a
fun.
treat,
I could have
yes.
conversations like this all day long.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I cannot wait for this to come out, and I just hope. I know it's gonna hit people. I just hope they're driving down the road. Maybe they've been thinking about quitting their job or starting that thing, and I hope they hear this, and I hope they fucking do it because it's. I mean, shit.
Or call me first if you need help.
That's
like
true.
that's
Where
what I
can
do.
people find you? What are those? So heyjill.com.
Yep,
and then where else?
heyjill.com is the website. You can email me directly, jill@heyjill.com. I am Jill, Hey Jill on Instagram. All
Jill,
the
hey,
Jills and the
Jill.
Hays and all the things. So yeah, but I mean, or these guys, I'm sure will know how to find me too. But don't text and drive if you're listening to this in the car.
Yeah,
But yeah, Jill@heyjill.com. Like there's an easy way to link to book on my calendar for 30 minutes. Just let's just chat about the things. I love talking with everyone.
Cool.
Awesome.
Come sit on my cloud.
Oh, it seems so soft. It is soft.
It is.
Sitting on it right now.
It's a lovely
Pillowy.
place to
10
land.
out of 10 out of 10 for clouds. It's as far as
But
clouds
you can't
go.
get too comfortable because, that's where,
Get your own cloud.
well, too comfortable, you're not stretching yourself enough. And you need to get out there and experience the world and find your essence, find your amazing.
Go meet Johnny Depp.
Oh, man.
Can I come when you set that up?
Yeah, you absolutely
I
can.
also am a Johnny Depp fan.
Somebody's got to get this shit on video. Are you serious?
Yeah. And you're going to sing the song to him?
Whew. What, the Pirates of the Caribbean,
Yeah.
Caribbean theme song?
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, you were about to belt it out.
Do it. The Lonely Lost Island. This is the... No, I can't.
I've never even seen the movie.
Jack Sparrow. I'm talking about... Okay, we're done. We're done.
Well, Jill, thank you so much for coming on. And Melanie, thank you for inviting Jill. And thank you. This was so much fun. Oh,
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.